Hey guys, my name is Janice Sheree, and I am the CEO and founder of Janice Sheree LLC. And our mission is to promote whole minds and present moments. So today I want to come on here and talk with you guys about what's feeding you in this season. What's feeding you in this season? I just released a blog titled 3 Challenges with What's Feeding You. And I believe that number 3 will shock you. So when I speak about what's feeding you, of course, food is so important when it comes to our nourishment, but that is not what I want to speak with you about today. When I speak with you about what's feeding you, there are so many other things that play a part in our mental, our physical, our spiritual health. And I want to speak to you about those things today. I want you to take time to notice how you're responding, how your body's reacting, what fruit you're bearing from the things that are feeding you in this season, because it's so imperative, guys, what we put into our bodies, our minds, and our spirit. And I'll tell you why. It's important because we function based on what we're receiving. And so if we're feeding ourselves things that make us sluggish, depleted, tired, or whatever it may be, you'll notice that with food, right? You notice how your body responds with food. So you notice when you're feeding yourself something that makes you want to just go lay down and take a nap. And you notice when you're feeding yourself something that gives you energy. Well, the same thing applies when it comes to our other types of health for our body. So the same thing applies when it comes to our mental, our spiritual, our emotional health. What we're feeding ourselves is either going to give us energy or it's going to deplete us. And here's the thing. I want you to have energy because my biggest goal is for you to live a life free from anxiety and depression. And when we're living this life free from anxiety and depression, we can live in our purpose. We can do the things that God has called us to do. We can live out the life we're purposed to live. We can enjoy our families. We can be present. We can live this life that we are called to live abundantly with the people that we love. We can have joy and peace and laughter and all of these different things because we're taking care of our bodies. We're feeding ourselves what we need, and I want that for you. So today, I want to share with you 3 challenges that I believe comes with what's feeding us. But first, I want to share with you this one thing. So I've been doing this negativity fast. In this fast, what I am doing is simply paying attention really, really carefully to what my body is responding to and how my body is responding to those things. So if I am feeling something in my body that normally would not be there, maybe I'm feeling uneasy, but what I'm looking at is typical of what I normally would look at. Maybe it's a show I normally would look at, but suddenly I'm feeling uneasy. I am noticing that. I am paying attention to what my body is saying to me. The reason is because I want optimal behavior in this year. If I want optimal behavior, I have to be cognizant. I have to understand what my behavior is, how I'm responding to things. And this is why I want optimal behavior, because I want optimal results. I want to produce things that will allow me to be joyful, present, happy, and whole. And in order for me to do that, I have to pay attention to my behavior. I have to have the most optimal behavior. That's why I've been thinking about the challenges that come with what's feeding us. And I want to share these with you because these are some of the things that I've noticed. Number 1 challenge that I've noticed is unexplained anxiety. Pay attention the next time you're watching a show, you're scrolling on social media, you're reading a blog, you're watching the news, whatever it may be. Pay attention to how your body responds. Do you feel rushed afterwards? Do you feel jittery afterwards? Do you have these anxious thoughts that you can't explain? Pay attention to that because a lot of times what's feeding us is causing us unexplained anxiety. And the thing about this unexplained anxiety is that we rarely even notice it. We rarely even notice it. We just take it in stride and keep moving. But I want you to notice it so that we can face these things, so that we can face these challenges. You know, some emotions that may cause us unexplained anxiety that may come from different things online, whether that's TV, movies, social media, whatever it may be, podcasts, whatever we're intaking. Some emotions that may cause us is striving, comparison, loneliness, sadness, anger. These things can cause us unexplained anxiety as well. And what we're doing is beginning to focus so much on tomorrow that we forget about the presence of this day. We forget about what we're doing in this day. And these things are so important. Today is important. This present moment is important. You being whole in these moments are so important. And we do not want anything distracting us from this day. The second thing that I believe that challenges us with what's feeding us is a loss of concentration. We are called a microwave society because we want things right then. We have a rush of information constantly available to us. It's not a bad thing, but we are learning not to have this virtue of being able to wait. We are learning to not have this virtue of patience. And I believe that there are some things that are so important for us to wait on. So a loss of concentration can have long-term impacts on us. It can affect our memory. It can affect how we retain data because we're not able to concentrate. Our mind is constantly going. And I want you to be whole and present. I want you to learn how to wait for the things that are important to you. Because have you ever had a meal that may take a while? Like say your parents are preparing a dinner for Thanksgiving and they start cooking 2 days before, but you can smell the food and you know the food is going to be good, but you know that there is something in there that it takes time. I want you to think about things in that way. Some things take time. Some things you need to see being prepared, but know that you have to wait for it if you want the full taste of it, if you want the full fruit from it, if you want the full nourishment from it. So some things take time. And one of the challenges that we face with what's feeding us is this loss of concentration because we want things right then. And a lot of times, a lot of things are readily available right then. Third challenge that I believe that we face with what's feeding us is something called a conformity bias. And this may shock you. So I was reading this article on humantech.com that our brain trains ourselves to basically search for information based on what we are already in agreement with. So we will build up facts based on what we are believing, what we have read, what we have jumped on board with, what we are in agreement with, and we will push aside any other facts, no matter how real those facts are concerning what we have based our opinions on. We live in a world where it's already so hard to have our own opinions, so hard to think differently, so hard to really be able to step out there and say, I don't agree with that. And because of that, a lot of us have jumped on board with what the world is saying or what people around us are saying or what the entire group is saying instead of standing out as an individual and saying, I get that. I thought that at first as well, but I've read these facts and these facts stand up against what I was thinking previously. I want us to be bold in this world. I want us to be individuals in this world, and I want us to stand up for what we believe as an individual in this world. There is a such thing as justice that I believe is so important. And in order for every person to have justice in this world, they have to have advocates. We have to be those advocates. In order for us to be an advocate, we have to boldly stand up for the things that we believe. We have to boldly fight for those things that are inaccurate that's being spoken. We have to dispel lies and put the truth out there. And I know that sounds tough and hard, and it's not as this big thing that maybe you're thinking in your mind. It could be something small as far as sitting in a group at a table and saying, no, I don't agree with that. And this is why I don't agree with that, because this is what I've discovered in the research that I've done. Being bold enough to use our language to have healthy conversations that push us forward. Guys, my name is Janice Sheree, and as I said, I'll put the link to my blog in the notes of this episode. Thank you so much for taking time to learn more about what's challenging about the things that's feeding us in this season. Have a great day.